Welcome to episode 38 of Fascinating, a Star Trek podcast. Metamorphosis.
In this week's episode, Kirk, Spock and McCoy are stranded on a planet when their mission to retrieve and treat a potentially terminally ill commissioner in the middle of delicate peace negotiations goes wrong. Faced with a prominent historical figure they never expected to encounter, can the captain and his colleagues find a way back to the Enterprise and save the commissioner, or will her time run out?
You're not a pet. You're not a specimen kept in a cage. You're a lover. I'm a what?
How are things, Ian?
A little bit off-centre today, Gerry.
Why is that?
Well, normally I'm looking right at you when we do these podcasts, but we're a little bit COVID compliant now.
Yeah, it's not like that, is it?
No, we've got a new office set up.
We have. Hopefully it's better. It was a little bit echoey the last few weeks. This might not be an improvement, but we're getting there. It's trial and error.
I feel like I'm in a tent.
And I'm glad I'm inside, looking out.
Yeah. Especially with this weather we're getting.
Yeah, it's pretty wet. Is that rain or wind we can hear in the back?
One or the other. Something very Scottish either way.
Thoughts on this week's episode?
I thought it was good. First time I've seen the Galileo since the Galileo 7, I think.
Yep. It's not the most aerodynamic of crafts, but although I suppose in space you don't need it to be.
There's no resistance.
That's true, isn't it?
Zephyr was impressed with it. He called it a beauty.
He did, but considering his situation, anything would have been impressive to him, I think.
Do you know that Zephyr Cochrane's due to be born in about 9.5 years from now?
Is he?
So you're living in the future.
Oh, hoverboards.
Flying cars. I never understood how flying cars would be an improvement.
On what?
Road cars.
Really? Why? What do you mean?
They're still going to fly into each other. There's not any improvement. The fact that you lift the road off the ground.
Don't talk nonsense. You can't see the improvement in a flying car. If it was like the Jetsons, for example, where you could take off, you could go as the crow flies.
But you just end up with a complete stramash.
You would not.
Everybody would want to fly in the same direction or opposite. You still need roads. They just need to be in the sky.
Ian, this is embarrassing. We've got one plane, we've got one dimension in the road.
Yeah.
We're all on that same level.
Okay.
In the sky, but you could have multiple. You could be flying, and your lanes could go up the way as well as out the way.
Imagine trying to get in there. Imagine you're in the wrong lane. You're trying to fly to Manchester, but you're in the lane for London.
You could have, 100 times as many vehicles all going in the same direction at the same time. That
sounds like an environmental catastrophe.
No, you're using clean fuel. If we get to the stage where it's flying cars, they're not using diesel.
I just think that you're going to end up with 3 dimensions of crashes rather than just 2.
I'm glad you're not in charge of futurism.
Infrastructure.
Yeah.
Anyhow, getting back to the present day and the future, I suppose.
Where we're just driving normal cars
and
Flight USA.
Flying spaceships. Interested in getting onto the episode?
Yeah, Elon, let's crack on. I thought that this week was very similar to last week's.
In what way?
That someone on another planet forced them down for their own benefit because they were a bit bored and fed up.
I suppose it was the androids last week, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. I'm assuming it was recorded out of sequence because it was far too similar to have that type of episode following.
Yeah, I don't have a note of the exact order. I think this one was one of the earlier ones from the season that was filmed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, we begin on the Galileo, as you mentioned.
The bridge of the Galileo, you could imagine.
Kirk, Spock and McCoy are on board, along with an unhappy Federation commissioner named Nancy Hedford.
That's right. Kirk asks McCoy how she's doing. There's obviously some sort of medical issue here.
Yeah, okay, so let's explain, or you can explain what's going on.
Okay, she has Sakuro's disease.
Oh.
A remarkably rare illness that she's furious Starfleet didn't inoculate her against.
Okay.
But McCoy points out that there's it's billions to 1 the chances of catching this. She's just very unlucky. There's no negligence here.
I think he's overestimating that.
He's getting his legal position sorted out.
Billions to one, really? Billions, you say? Hundreds.
It would be uneconomical to inoculate against something so rare. Anyhow, she
didn't wear her mask, that was her problem.
Well, there you go. She is unhappy because she was in the middle of peace negotiations on Epsilon Canaris 3.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously feels that war is about to break out if she's not there to calm the waters.
Kirk tries to pacify her by telling her that after they get her to medical on the Enterprise, which will be about 4 hours' time, she will be returned back to this planet with plenty of time to spare.
Yeah, so this seems to be a very treatable disease. It's not something that will be terminal as long as you're in the right place.
No, but they soon have bigger worries.
They do. Spock asks Kirk to check his scanners, and they're so surprised they open the window.
What do they see?
A big shiny cloud in space.
That apparently resembles ionized hydrogen, but with strong electrical impulses.
Yes, it does that trick that we've seen on a few previous occasions where no matter how they try to evade it, it follows them. Yeah,
eventually engulfing them and it pulls them off course. McCoy is worried as Hedford needs fairly urgent medical attention.
Yes, and she's furious, not really knowing what's going on, obviously a bit scared. And
doesn't appreciate the situation because she demands to be taken immediately to the Enterprise. It's like,
enough of these shenanigans with your clouds.
So Kirk tells her they are helpless and simply to enjoy the ride.
Yeah, it's a bit different from the last time we saw this shuttle out about when they were just investigating something for the sake of it on their way to negotiation. Yes, so Kirk says to her, we're just going to have to go on with it, and then we get the credits.
We do. And we then return to Gamma Canaris N inside the spacecraft. They've landed on this planet but are unable to communicate with the Enterprise.
That's right. McCoy, for once, is out doing the tricordering, and he reports back saying the planet has an Earth-like atmosphere.
That's fortunate, isn't it?
Well, fortunate or deliberate, we will find out. Spock notes it has Earth-like gravity. It's probably more of a planet than an asteroid, somewhere in between, perhaps.
Planetoid.
And
that's not a thing, is it? A planetoid?
Yeah. It's I don't know, an astral body.
Okay.
And it's suitable for human life.
Yeah, it could be a break-up from a previous larger planet.
I think some of these designations are a bit subjective, as fans of Pluto will attest.
And Uranus.
Indeed. Kirk asks McCoy and Spock to leave the shuttle, but tells Nancy to stay behind, though he can't answer her query about how long she will have to be there.
No. So they go outside to explore this purple environment with their phasers at the ready. Spock is confused as to why their ship's equipment doesn't work when there appears to be nothing wrong.
Yeah, everything's fine, but it's not working. I get that problem all the time.
Yeah, it's because you've no idea of what's going wrong.
Indeed.
Yeah. This computer isn't working. My car doesn't start.
My wrist's sore, but it seems fine. Or another joint, whatever. That was just an example.
Okay.
Nancy wanders outside regardless of her instructions. She's not one of his officers. She can do what she wants.
Yeah, well, I'm extremely ill and on a foreign planet. I'll do what I like. I won't listen to.
I'm going for a walk. Are there any poisonous flowers around here?
McCoy then notes that his readings show a collection of gases not too far away that matched Spock's readings.
Well, yes, from earlier. So this ionized hydrogen cloud is on the planet now.
But before they get a chance to discuss this further, a voice in the distance calls out and waves over to them.
Yes, Kirk has him scanned immediately, wanting to know if he is A, real, and B, human.
Yeah, he is. He's wearing an orange jumpsuit.
He's straight out of Guantanamo.
I mean, you'd have to be real and human to wear that. I mean, if you could create anything else.
Yeah, a fictional being would not be in a prison jumpsuit. The man doesn't seem to have heard of the Federation, but he's pleased to meet humans, and particularly pleased that they've brought a woman with them.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that. Yeah, he's sort of very vague and ambiguous. He identifies himself as Cochrane, who has apparently been marooned there for a very long time.
Yes, he identifies Spock as a Vulcan, and Kirk then introduces the people that are with them.
Yes, including, as you say, Hedford, who Cochrane describes as food to a starving man, a thirsty man more like.
Ah, yes. Indeed.
He then,
sight for sore eyes, you might say.
Well, sore something. And as you mentioned earlier, he then compliments their shuttlecraft.
He does. Obviously not a man of great aesthetic taste. Unless this is some sort of new modernist movement that we have yet to encounter.
Well, over the ages, things have changed. I mean, you'll only have to look back to, sort of car designs of the 70s, 80s, even the 90s.
Yeah, the Volvo. It looks like a Volvo. This is the Volvo of shuttlecraft.
Yeah, but Volvo's a classic design. That's still like a Volvo.
Okay.
In any case, Kirk understandably wants to know more about how they and he ended up there.
We were forced off our course and taken here by some force we couldn't identify.
Which seems to be on the surface of this body at the moment.
Well, I wouldn't know anything about that.
You say we'll be unable to get the ship to function again?
Not a chance. There's some sort of damping field down here. Power systems don't work. Take my word for it.
You don't mind if we continue to try?
Go right ahead. You've got plenty of time.
What about you, Cochrane? How did you get here?
Marooned, I told you. Look, we'll have lots of time to learn about each other. I have a small place over that way. All the comforts of home. I can even offer you a hot bath.
How perceptive of you to notice that I needed one.
If you don't mind, Mr. Cochrane, I'd like a little more than just a statement that you were marooned here. It's a long way off the beaten path.
That's right. That's why I'm so glad to see you. Look, I'll tell you everything you want to know, but not here. Well, your ship is sure a beauty.
Yes, she is. And you've been out of circulation quite a while. The principles may be new to you. Mr. Spock, why don't you explain our methods of propulsion to Mr. Cochrane?
This is at least the third time that Kirk has done this.
What?
Come across someone he doesn't know anything about, doesn't understand, and then have Spock explain to them how all their systems work.
When was the last time?
He did it with Khan in season 1, and I think he did it a couple of weeks ago, and I can't remember which episode it was.
Okay. When Cochrane mentioned the bath there, was there an implication that he was going to join her?
I don't think so. I think she was maybe just smells funny. I don't know.
Anyway.
It's a very weird thing for her to say as well.
With Cochrane occupied. Yeah, that is a point, isn't it? Yeah, I need one. Well, I suppose, if you've been travelling in a... it's like, even if you're on a plane for a couple of hours, when you come off, you feel a bit...
But why would she assume that's why he's offered them a hot bath rather than just being a standard courtesy?
It's not a standard courtesy, is it? Offer someone a bath.
Yeah, well, it's an unexpected thing. That's why he's mentioned it.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know.
With Cochrane occupied, Kirk and McCoy have a whispered chat where Kirk claims he looks familiar but can't quite place him.
And McCoy's all, yeah, now that you mention it,
yeah,
I too find him familiar.
You're right. You didn't.
I was about to say that.
He reminds him of the importance of getting away as soon as possible, as he guarantees that Hedford's temperature will soon develop.
Indeed. Kirk says that for the time being, they'll take up Cochrane's offer.
Yeah, so we go to his house. They're led into this impressive little structure created with tools and supplies left over from his crash. And Cochrane explains that he grows some vegetable in a nearby field. The house was very impressive for something that, it's not like you just cobbled this together with somebody.
No, he's lying to them.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
They enter and McCoy notices that Hedford has taken a little turn.
Yes, but also Kirk notices that the tech is antiquated.
Yeah, antiquated but fully furnished. I mean, this, again, is an obvious lie. This wasn't all in your ship.
No, but some of the tech must have been. This is dating him. This is why, or one of the things that Kirk's suspicious about, we find out later why Cochrane has old technology.
Yeah. He goes to get a drink for Hedford, who is complaining about the heat. And when he is gone, McCoy again reminds Kirk that they're running out of time.
Yeah, I think we get it now. I think we get it. I mean, McCoy's now mentioned this to Kirk 3 times since they've landed on the planet.
Yeah.
Anyhow, the 3 men, Spock, McCoy and Kirk, at this point see the coloured cloud.
Yeah, they look out the back door and are shocked to see this swirling yellow gas. So Kirk, he quite firmly, aggressively asks the returning Cochrane what it was, and he tries to palm them off.
Yeah, but Spock's not buying it. He shuts him down almost immediately and demands a real explanation.
Yeah, because he says that he believes it to be the entity that brought them there.
Kirk then joins in, saying he has no time for nonsense, and Cochrane, I'm not sure confesses is the right word, but he opens up at this stage.
Yeah, and admits that he was brought there himself on his disabled ship by what he calls the companion, which saved his life.
Yes, he explains that he was an old man at the time, but the companion has made him young again.
Yeah, Spock declines to accept this, immediately.
Yeah, of course he wants some more science to back that up.
He wants to know what the companion is, and he's told that he doesn't know anything other than it exists and it can communicate with him.
Yes. Kirk asks Cochrane at this stage what is his first name.
Yeah, and he's told it's Zephram.
It's not even a real name.
No.
But this rings a bell for Kirk.
Talking about not only a real name, I was mentioning to you earlier on, it was quite hilarious. Maybe our American friends won't find it quite as funny, but
surely they will.
Jack Nicklaus, his granddaughter, got married there recently, and he put a congratulatory tweet, as you might expect.
The Golden Bear.
The Golden Bear, yeah. And I think his granddaughter's name's Christine or Chrissy or something. But the new husband is known as Todger Strank or Todger Strunk. That's it. Todger Strunk. What a ridiculous Todger. I mean, really, Todger is a name in the UK, which means you're John Thomas.
Yeah, it's another UK reference, probably.
Is it?
I don't know.
You're Johnson in America, that's what they call it.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, but even if it wasn't that, it's just Todger Strunk. What sort of name is that? The comments below the tweet are hilarious. I was in tears reading it.
Yeah.
My favourite was the Artful Todger. Maybe it's a common name in America, Todger. Anyway.
I don't know, but apparently the term Todger comes from the term, or the word Todge, meaning to beat to a pulp.
Oh, well, yeah. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's quite an aggressive sexual metaphor.
That is. Or the opposite. Oh, I've just got out of the water, it was cold, my Todger shrunk. I don't know. We're better back to Zephram.
Zephram.
Now, it doesn't sound quite as silly as Zephram.
No, it does.
Zephram, is that not a biblical name? I don't know.
I doubt it.
No? Or is that Zephram sounds like
or Zephram with an AI in the middle of it.
What's the once again? I've told you the beard and the beards, what are they called?
The people that you always, yes, the Amish.
Yes, them. That sounds like a name that they would have.
Perhaps. And yes, Kirk knows who Zephram Cochrane is.
Who is he?
He's the discoverer or the developer of warp drive.
Space warp, yeah.
And
however, McCoy points out this is impossible as he died 150 years ago.
Spock points out he's a lauded and celebrated individual, and Kirk says that this story doesn't stack up.
No. Hedford at this point is looking worse for wear, as Spock, I think, drops some exposition.
Yeah, about his fame.
Yeah.
Cochrane doubles down at this point. He says,
let's give him his due. I mean, he has had planets, cities, and universities named in his honour.
Yes, he's actually a character in the Next Generation movie, First Contact. It's worth watching.
Is it?
If you're interested in Zephram Cochrane.
Well, okay, I'd rather watch something about
Todger Strunk.
Todger Strunk.
I don't want to watch anyone's Todger shrinking. Anyhow. Yes, so Cochrane says he was old, he was dying, he was 87, wanted to die in space. And Spock says it's potentially true because the body of Zephram Cochrane was never found.
And at this point we see McCoy scan Hedford, who now admits to feeling absolutely terrible. So this condition is deteriorating rapidly.
No, she says it's just the heat.
Alright, okay, sure.
But McCoy at this point tells Kirk she'll be dead in hours. It's unfortunate for her.
Yeah.
But this thing can cure old age. Surely it can cure a treatable disease.
You'd have thought so.
They'll be fine.
Anyway, Kirk remarks to Cochrane that he doesn't look over 35. Yes, he does. He looks over 35.
He looks about 45 at least.
And is told that the companion prevents him from aging. Well, Spock concedes that his instruments are actually from the time period.
Yeah, we mentioned that. Remember the aged tech when he arrived.
Uh-huh.
So Kirk wants to find out at this stage why they've been brought here, but Cochrane says there's no need to investigate.
Yeah, he sort of sheepishly admits that he already knows.
He asked the companion to bring him some company.
I think, do we find out that he said that he was going to die if he didn't get any company? And
yes, I think he was expressing loneliness. I think it's not verbal communication, so it's all
but
emotions.
The point I'm trying to make is that I think by saying that to the companion, he hoped the companion might
let him go.
But no,
the companion brought people.
Some playmates.
Yeah, so he didn't specifically say, bring me people. Yeah. No. Nancy at this point flips out like a ninja and is forced to go to bed.
Yeah, she's not in a good position, is she?
No. She's a bit ratty for someone who's about to be dead.
Yeah.
You'd think she'd find peace, serenity.
Do some bucket list activity.
Although, to be fair, she was told just a few hours ago, you're going to be fine. We just need to give you a wee jag once you get to the ship.
Now you've
sorry.
Now you've got 2 hours to live.
It's not worked out. Stop complaining.
So McCoy in the bedroom gives her a shot to sedate her, and they head back through to the living area.
Yes, where Kirk asks Spock to find a way to hurt or damage the creature.
Cochrane is then questioned by Kirk on what would happen if he left the planet. And he's told that his ageing would commence again.
Yeah, so he wouldn't immediately become 87, he would just age from where he is now.
But he's asked if he would like to leave. And he tells Kirk that immortality consists largely of boredom.
Can you imagine?
Before asking what it is like out in the galaxy. And I think that's a decent point. I think that's, again, similarity to last week. Ahura was offered immortality.
Yes, and she didn't really like the idea as much as she made out.
No. It's like the Highlander. You've seen the movie The Highlander, yeah?
No.
Oh,
so it's Sean Connery in it?
It does have Sean Connery in it, yeah.
Okay.
But that's the whole point is like that this chap is immortal and he lives. He can only die by having his head chopped off. Anyway, he's lived through centuries and he sees all his friends and lovers and people die that he makes, they all die, so it's not that great an existence.
No.
I'd give it a bash for a while.
Yeah.
Then I'd probably self-guillotine myself.
Self-guillotine yourself?
Yeah.
You can't self-guillotine anybody else.
No. I'd guillotine myself.
You're the one that doesn't like superfluous.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Anyhow, Kirk at this stage tries to give Cochrane a taste of his future, of how the universe has changed since he's been stranded here.
How did you do that?
He talks about the frontiers of the Federation and the new worlds that have been discovered and the opportunities that exist.
Yeah, at this point, I think Cochrane, he agrees to help them. He wants to join them in this mission.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen this before. Kirk's first instinct in these situations is to manipulate whoever's with him to get their assistance.
Yeah.
And that's what he's doing here with Cochrane.
He's a user.
Absolutely. Well, he's a Machiavellian actor, isn't he?
Well, he's a pragmatist. He'll do what he needs to do.
Indeed.
At anyone's expense. But I noted at this point, again, as a reminder, I watched this live, so I don't know how it turns out, but I wrote dead meat. There's no way he's joining them on their mission going forward, so something has to happen.
Did it make you think of the Tomorrow's Yesterday with the pilot?
Yes.
Kirk says, though, that yes, they'll need Cochrane's help if they're to leave the planet.
Mm-hmm. In the shuttlecraft.
I think just outside the shuttlecraft.
Spock works away.
Yes, and the companion shows up next to him.
Yeah, so he decides, not knowing what it is, he'll put his hand out and touch it. Yeah. What's the worst that can happen?
Well, it zaps him.
Yeah, he's knocked out with a shock.
It's not clear whether this was done deliberately or it's just he had built up some static.
Yeah. And it looks like the circuitry of the shuttlecraft has been damaged as well.
Yes.
In the bedroom, Hedford's condition is still deteriorating, and so Cochrane agrees to ask the companion if it will cure her.
Yeah, obviously. That's the simple solution. That's how you've imagined this episode is going to turn pretty much since they got to the planet.
Communications are non-verbal with the companion, but he is confident that he can get his message, his request across. And so they walk out to the backyard, the back garden area.
Yes, he explains to Kirk and McCoy that the companion visits him when he empties his mind. And from the engagement so far, it seems that maybe isn't too difficult for him to do.
No.
As he goes off to do that, Kirk and McCoy discuss it between themselves.
What do they say?
Kirk thinks that the relationship between Cochrane and the companion is worth noting.
Well, it's more than that. I think he has worked out that the relationship is one of love rather than, animal and master. There's nothing to indicate this so far that he's seen, I don't think.
It's a bit of a leap. He
Massive
thinks
leap.
that they're codependent, doesn't he?
Where's he getting this from?
Maybe it's his analysis of the situation.
The analysis of the script.
The companion leaves and the two men approach Cochrane to find out how soon Nancy will be cured.
Yeah, well, at this point, while they're having that chat, we see that this yellow mist engulfs Cochrane. He's doing his thing. He's in a bit of a daze, a trance.
Yes.
As it wraps himself around him. It leaves, and he is still in a bit of a daze, but has some bad news.
Yes, she's not going to help Nancy.
Nope, you've got a new woman here. I'm taking it off. Nope, not going to help your new mistress.
No, exactly. And Cochrane has no other suggestions.
Although he does claim that he will do what he can to help.
Yeah, which is nothing.
Ah.
He'll run her a bath.
Back in the shuttlecraft.
Yes, McCoy finds Spock, who is okay.
Well, he's coming round. Doesn't seem, too injured. In fact, he may have made a breakthrough.
Yeah, this reminded me a bit of the time that I fainted at work after bleeding and nobody noticed for 20 minutes and I just had to get up and
It wasn't
sort
20
myself
minutes, it was about 2 minutes.
Yeah.
I thought you were just having a rest.
Nobody noticed. They were going on with their day. Anyhow.
I stepped over you once.
Spock tells McCoy that the creature attacked him and he is therefore being able to determine its true nature.
Yeah, which is what?
Electricity.
Yeah.
Just simple electricity.
And even McCoy understands the significance of this, as it means that it should be possible to
put it in this hot bath.
Yes. Throw in a radio or a TV.
Yes. Spock says, yes, this is definitely the case.
Yeah. Sorted. Kirk's worked out the emotional side of things within 5 minutes of seeing it.
Back in Cochrane's house, Spock doubles down on this by saying he has put together a companion killer that cannot fail. Cochrane is not pleased.
He's not. He's like, yeah, when I said I'd do anything, I mean, you don't have to kill it, do you? I suppose it's like, my pet Rottweiler attacked. Yeah, I'll do whatever I can to we'll sort this out. That's terrible. Okay, I've got it. I'm going to shoot it. Well, I mean, we don't need to shoot it.
No, maybe some treats.
Yeah. Yeah, so Spock has got this device which there's a switch which they're going to throw, and it will scramble every electrical impulse within the creature. However, as he discusses this, Cochrane turns and walks away as Kirk realises that, he might not be quite as keen to help as previously claimed.
It troubles you, Cochrane?
The companion saved my life. It's taken care of me all these years. We've been very close in a way that's hard to explain. I suppose I even have a sort of affection for it.
It's also keeping you prisoner.
I don't want it killed.
We may simply render it powerless.
But you don't know. You could kill it. I won't stand for that, Kirk.
We're getting out of here, Cochrane. Face up to it. I'll do anything I have to save all of our lives.
I suppose from your point of view, you're right.
We understand how you feel, Mr. Cochrane. But it has to be done.
All right. You want me to contact it?
Please. Outside.
What was it they used to call it? The Judas goat?
I think he's being kind to himself there. He's more Judas Iscariot than a Judas goat.
Yeah. The Judas Goat was one of, I've mentioned before, Robert B. Parker's, one of his early books. I think maybe the fourth in the Spencer series. Good book.
For anyone who doesn't know, it's basically a goat that's trained to live with sheep and then leads them to the slaughter by being excused itself. But in this case, he's actually taking someone that he's supposed to love and bringing them to be killed. It's literally Judas.
Yeah. Well, not literally.
Well, it's literally the same thing that he did.
Okay. So as Cochrane walks out, Spock remarks to Kirk that there does exist a risk as they don't know the full extent, I suppose, of the companion's powers.
I may have overstated this earlier, but it's too late now. Let's go.
Yeah. However, Kirk responds that the reverse is also true. Now, that doesn't work either.
No.
It might it pulled you out out of the galaxy, out of the universe, dragged you down here. It knows what your powers are.
It probably does.
It's not impressed with it at all.
Anyhow, Cochrane now outside summons the companion in the usual way by emptying his brain of all usual thoughts.
Yeah, he is engulfed. Spock takes the opportunity to throw the switch, but things don't appear to go to plan.
No, I think Cochrane gets knocked out and the companion just gets angry.
Yeah, and floats over towards him in a red state. You're just being angry now.
Yeah.
So inside,
it comes through the door, blows up Spock's device, and then attacks both Kirk and Spock.
Yeah, they're rolling about the ground in agony. That'll teach them. Kirk's like, Spock, what are you doing? You told me this was definitely...
McCoy says to the companion, stop it. They were just trying to kill you. You can let them go. And then says stop it about 3 or 4 more times.
Yeah, it only leaves when Cochrane wakes up and summons it back outside.
That's it.
So they get up and accept that it was Cochrane who saved them, but Kirk doesn't know if it was actually a favour or not.
No, and then Kirk starts stressing about Nancy dying on his watch.
Yeah, he has another sort of crisis of leadership confidence.
McCoy gives him the usual bluster, it's not technically your fault. And he says, yes, I'm the captain, everything's my fault.
But I do like when Kirk is shown to have vulnerability and weakness, and we've seen it a few times.
Yeah, and he doesn't accept having yes men around him. He'll ask them for another answer. So McCoy does come up with another answer.
What's that?
Diplomacy.
Yeah, use the carrot rather than the stick. And so he asks Spock if they can try talking to it via the universal translator on the shuttlecraft.
I mean, I feel like they could have thought of this earlier.
Yeah.
Let's kill it. No, it didn't work.
And it's now trying to kill us.
Yeah.
That's only joking. Come on.
It's maybe a bit late for talking.
Can we be friends now? I didn't mean it.
Spock heads off to get this translator, and McCoy informs Kirk once again that Nancy is still sick. In fact, she's getting worse, I think. And then when we get a change of pace...
We've got a Scotty log.
Yes.
32:19.8. This is an odd scene.
Yeah.
It's basically a bloated, unnecessary recap with nothing added.
It's just to break up what was going on.
Scenery, yeah.
Basically, Scotty tells us what's been happening from their point of view, and we get a very brief look in on the bridge. Uhura, Scotty and Sulu are trying to find out where the shuttle's gone, and they think they maybe pick up its trail.
Back inside the house, Spock and Kirk explain the concept of the translator to Cochrane before he is asked to call for the companion.
Yes, and then he does so, and Kirk addresses it to its surprise.
And also to their surprise, because what do they hear?
Yeah, they hear a feminine voice which intrigues Spock and makes him think it is a lover of Cochrane's.
Yeah, rather than a zookeeper. And I think we see an embarrassed look from Cochrane. He's like, oh, okay. What have you been up to here with this gas?
Kirk asks the companion whether he can leave and is told he cannot because the man requires company. Kirk tries to explain then that if they're not allowed to leave, one of their number will cease to exist.
However, this approach makes little difference.
Companion, try to understand. It is the nature of our species to be free, just as it is your nature to stay here. We will cease to exist in captivity.
Your bodies have stopped their peculiar degeneration. There will be nothing to harm you. You will continue, and the man will continue. This is necessary.
This is a marvelous opportunity to add to our knowledge. Ask it about its nature, its history.
This isn't a classroom. I'm trying to get us out of here.
A chance like this may never come again. It could tell us so much.
This isn't the time. Companion, what you offer us is not continuation. It is non-existence. We will cease to exist. Even the man will cease to exist.
Your impulses are illogical. This communication is useless. The man must continue. Therefore, you will continue. It is necessary.
At this, the companion vanishes and they all go back inside.
It's also worth noticing or noting that Spock highlighted the opportunity to study this phenomenon, and we can speak about that, I think, at the end of the episode.
Okay. Back in the house, Cochrane wants to know why they put a female voice on the translator.
We've mentioned before, this is getting to the sort of Rocky IV, isn't it, with Polly, where he has a robot and he makes her a female. And with all the other sex robots that we've had.
Yeah. But Kirk explains on this occasion that they didn't. Anyhow, McCoy, I think we heard, this might be what we heard at the start of the show, explains that the companion sees Cochrane as its lover, which outrages him. He's not a tolerant man.
Don't be so disgusting.
Yes. Me love a cloud.
One time I was drunk.
One man, one woman. That's how relationships work.
One man, two clouds. Two girls, one.
The Enterprise crew tried to explain that it's fine to love a cloud, but he's appalled and leaves, screaming about decency and morality, and Spock points out this is a very parochial attitude, quite rightly. Nancy calls for McCoy. She heard what Cochrane said and she is shocked. She's about to die. She hasn't taken time in her life to have love. She's been focused on her career. And he has loved and isn't happy about it.
Yeah.
Even if it is by a cloud.
Listen, take what you can get when you're on a planetoid on your own.
He's thinking, I've spent this past 150 years thinking this was a bromance.
Yeah.
Two guys here together, one a cloud, one a human.
When we were hugging, it was just that, manly hug. Yeah. Anyway, we get another Scotty log.
It doesn't say anything.
Another nothing week. 32, 20.3. Nonsense. Waste of time.
There's thousands of asteroids to scan, and Scotty says, we'll do it one by one.
Yeah.
And Uhura's like, that's stupid.
Yeah. Anyway, back
outside the house, Cochrane is again communing with the companion, so he's obviously not that upset with it.
He's not upset at all. He's like, come on, did you have to put the female voice on there?
Yeah.
You embarrass me here.
Showing me up in front of my new friends. Kirk then comes out and barges in on the conversation, asking about the nature of love and whether the companion is in love with Cochrane, and he then explains the nature of love and sacrificing your own happiness for the one that you love, and Spock thinks it was illogical of him to expect the companion to respond in a human way.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't respond in a human way at all.
No, she yet doesn't understand, so Kirk tries again.
Yeah, and then I think eventually the cloud leaves.
Yeah, I think again he points out that if...
Yeah, he's trying to get it to say, if you truly love this man, you would let him leave.
Well, yeah, he says that he won't continue to live if you keep him there. But it doesn't make sense. He's been there for 150 years and he's left.
He's
so
left.
She's like, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. You're not making any sense.
No.
You're just trying to manipulate me.
Mm-hmm.
Anyhow, she disappears and then Nancy comes out, but no longer appears to be sick.
Yeah, McCoy scans her and is amazed to find that she is fully recovered. He can't understand.
Yeah, unfortunately, she may be well, but she's no longer Nancy.
No, she smiles and says that we understand while looking at Cochrane, and tells them that she is the companion.
What's basically happened here is Nancy's died and the companion is inhabiting her corpse.
Well, almost on the brink of death.
Zombie Nancy explains that the two consciousnesses share the body, but they think all the things that the companion used to think.
Yeah, the Cochrane is thinking to himself, okay, can I do this? I mean, it's dead, it's a companion, it's a bit, don't know.
Well, apparently the original draft of this episode ended with Spock making a joke about whether this was bigamy.
Yeah.
Because there's two of them, and Kirk telling him to shut up.
Don't big me, but big him. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. So, what happens here? She goes over to Cochrane, he's scared. Oh no. It was alright. I've not done this with an actual woman for a number of years. The still gas method was fine, but...
She starts talking about loneliness and then she doesn't understand why Cochrane's backing off when he knows it's her.
Yeah, but then I think as you say, she understands, she'd be able to accept this feeling of loneliness and the pain that it must cause him.
She tries to claim that Nancy hasn't died, she just has to give up the use of her body to the companion. Yeah,
and at this point, Kirk, as they're talking, Kirk takes the opportunity to see if they can, I suppose, make an escape for it by asking Spock to check in on the spacecraft. However, she interrupts with some good news.
Spock,
Check out the shuttlecraft. Engine, communications, everything.
That will not be necessary, Captain. Your vehicle will operate as before. So will the communications device.
You're letting us go?
We can do nothing now to stop you. You said we would not know love because we were not human. Now we are human. We will know the change of the days. We will know death. But to touch the hand of man, nothing is as important.
You're very beautiful.
Part of me understands, part does not. But it pleases me.
I could explain many things.
Oh, let me walk, Saffron. Let me feel the earth against my feet. Let me feel the warmth of the sun on my face. You beside me. Let me feel these things.
Go ahead, Cochrane. We have a few things to do.
So they head off to...
I think they do. And it shows that there's nothing so beautiful as the love between one heterosexual man and one heterosexual woman.
Gas.
Yeah, it's fine now because she's a woman. You can engage in a relationship.
Yeah.
Anyhow, we go to the bridge of the Enterprise where Uhura tells Scotty that the captain's on comms.
And I think they agree, or Scotty says, okay, we can be there to pick you up in 57 minutes.
And Kirk says, that's fine, but I'm not telling you what's going on. It's a long story. We'll fill you in later.
Yeah, well, he doesn't know how to lend himself. That's what he says.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Well, that's a clearing area. Cochrane is talking about how he can educate Hedford.
And she's holding up a scarf to remember what it was like to look at him through swirly, multicoloured eyes.
Is that what she's doing? Yeah, I wasn't sure. It's almost like she was drunk, you know, that way, or she's stoned. It's like, what are you doing? Something? I'm trying to talk to you. Will you stop that?
Yeah, I think the director said it was a wonderful coincidence that the scarf looked just like the cloud.
Right, okay. But
Cochrane's, yeah, he's now right into her.
And he's saying, yeah, I'll take you, we'll explore galaxies, we'll do this and we'll do that, we'll have kids, or whatever. I don't know.
Unfortunately, she's tied to this planet.
Yeah, this is where her life form is. If she leaves, she'll die.
Yeah.
And Cochrane realises the sacrifice that she's made in doing this, in this transformation, before they kiss.
I think we've had to use transformation rather than metamorphosis, which is the title of the episode.
All right, yeah. Yeah, it's too on the nose, you know. I'm not on the nose.
Up on the bridge, Scotty's locked on the captain and they've established standard orbit. The shuttle bay is standing by. They don't need to lock in on him because he's got a shuttle.
Yeah.
So, anyhow, yes, shuttle bay is ready.
Back down at the house.
Yeah.
Cochrane and his companion reappear next to them, walk over.
Yes, and Cochrane explains that she can't leave and he can't leave her. And Spock says that as a human, it's normal that he would be irrational this way.
I think Kirk half-heartedly tries to tempt him with galaxy exploration, things like that. He knows that he's got a smile on his face. He knows that he's made his mind up.
Yeah, and then we get this bizarre moment where he says he's going to stay and grow old with Nancy / companion, and please don't tell anyone that I'm here.
Okay, explain to me again. Why is he growing old? Because they're on
she's no longer an omnipotent cloud. She's now just a human woman with no powers.
Where did she get her power from?
She used to have power because she was a cloud power being, but she's no longer. She's given it up to become a cloud.
Yeah, but is the cloud power people, are they not still around?
She was the only one.
Was she?
Well, at least that we know of.
Right, okay. So they're both going to die?
Eventually. Not now.
They're going to get bored of each other after a little while, aren't they?
Well, they're just going to live a normal lifespan.
It's not a normal lifespan. They're going to get really the first argument they have.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with this planet.
I'm moving to the other side of this planet.
Hate you. Honeymoon period over.
People come back, there's like 2 houses.
She's trying to turn herself back into a cloud.
You preferred being a cloud. Didn't you like me better when I was a cloud?
And so, with his mind made up, Kirk wishes them all the best and makes a final promise to tell no one about them. Now, this is the issue that I wanted to bring up, I mentioned earlier. The whole purpose of what they do in space is to get out there, explore galaxies, look for these new phenomenons, and report back. It's a scientific mission that they're on. This is a huge... They found a cloud, a gas that can
A sentient cloud, yeah.
Yeah, that can turn back the aging process. This is a huge discovery.
Yeah.
He can't just ignore this. He shouldn't just ignore this. And also, Nancy's dead.
Yeah, well, in order to not tell people about Cochrane, they're going to have to invent a massive lie.
Yeah, so Nancy is a commissioner for this federation. She's about to
stop a war.
We'll get to that in a second. But in any case, she goes back to the federation. They say, "Okay, where's their colleague Nancy?" Yeah, she's dead. What do you mean she's dead? You were taking her to the Enterprise. It was a fairly simple procedure to give her that medicine.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we get held up. She died.
What were you held up by? Nothing.
Nothing. It was have you logged the
No.
Enterprise broke down? The warp was an issue? No, it was just, I can't remember. Oh, well, that's bad news. Anyway, I suppose we'll have to give Nancy our send-off. We'll have to have a funeral, I suppose, and get her body back. So, where is it?
Oh, we've done that.
What do you mean you've done that?
We've had the funeral. She's gone. It's all done.
No, it's not how it works. You've got the procedure.
It's finished.
Someone died on... You can't...
Moving on.
This doesn't sound right. So, yeah, he's got to have to tie himself in knots explaining this one then.
It's impossible. There will not be...
And he shouldn't be lying about it, just for Cochrane's sake.
No. And besides which, the Enterprise logs will show where they were.
Plus, Cochrane should be saying, you know what, like even at what he could have said was, give us 6 months, eh? Let's spend a bit of time getting to know each other. After that, as I said earlier, they'll be bored of each other anyhow. Then they can all go and talk to him, they can send down the Federation, they can find out and do tests and studies and all that type of thing.
You would think.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we don't know that's not what happens.
It should happen.
Kirk might be lying to him. I'll not tell anyone.
Yeah, he's got to tell everyone else to lie as well.
Cochrane is living on this planet.
Yeah, but it's not his decision.
Yeah, it's everyone on the Enterprise because the whole ship showed up at the planet.
Mm-hmm. He's making them lie.
Yeah.
Just for no purpose at all.
Spock wouldn't lie.
Shouldn't. It's illogical.
Yeah. Anyhow, as they leave, McCoy asks, what about this war?
Very good point by McCoy. So she was there. She was worried she didn't have a lot of time.
Exactly.
What does Kirk say?
They'll find some other woman.
Yeah. Now,
what's this? Men start wars and women end wars? Is that
maybe? But leaving aside the whole the issue if it's a man or a woman, where are they going to find someone? This is. I understood that the war was. She was there. She had a very tight time frame, and war was imminent.
Yeah.
He's got to come back, explain this lie about how he lost the commissioner, and then they've got to send. There'll be a full-scale war. It could have started by this point.
Yeah, they also don't explain why they went to get her in a shuttle and didn't just take the medical bay and the whole Enterprise to her. Maybe a starship showing up would start a war. It was seen as an aggressive act.
Yeah, maybe they didn't want to risk the Enterprise in a war zone.
But a shuttle?
Who knows?
Anyhow, they're on to the next adventure and we'll forget all about this.
Yeah, it's probably not one you want to revisit to. A lot of holes in it, a lot of problems.
Well, yeah, and also the fact that it can't be explained. They're just going to whitewash it. There'll be an inquiry.
Should be.
Maybe Kirk will just put in a top secret report that only admirals can read and none of them will bother because who cares?
Maybe. It's the only way out of it.
They've got other things to be doing.
Yeah.
Probably oiling their own traps.
I mean, it's fine saying that, like, making the point that Nancy wasn't, we made it clear that she wasn't married, had kids, right? She'd never loved before, so she doesn't have that sort of family. But she could still have parents and
colleagues, friends,
brothers and sisters who are saying, where's Nancy? Where's my sister?
Dead, buried, we did it, it's all done.
Why didn't you I'd like to have seen her, I'd like to have paid my respects. She's my daughter.
Fake news.
So you put us through all this, Kirk, so that this stranger that you didn't know, you give him a wee nod and a wink, yeah, don't worry, we won't say anything, but her brother and sister and her parents are distraught.
Disrespect a starship captain in this way.
Out of order.
So is she a zombie?
Yeah.
Because she's dead. It's only the companion that's in there.
No, she wasn't. She was dying.
There was no Nancy in there. It was everything.
No, she wasn't. I think it was clear that the companion saved her just in time.
But who was controlling the body?
Nancy. He brought her back to health and also get inside her.
So the companion's dead then?
No, they both. No,
they can't both.
Why not?
Exist in one body.
Why not? He's taking over.
What if they don't want the same thing?
They have to have some sort of arrangement.
That's going to be an awkward situation.
Yeah, I don't.
What one of them doesn't like Cochrane?
Nancy's. I don't like. He was a creepy guy. He wanted to meet you have a bath.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, that's us.
Yeah.
Thought it was okay.
Yeah, it was
all right. It was fine.
Yeah.
Fine.
Tick it off the list.
Yeah. That was it.
Yeah, let's go into some trivia.
Okay.
It originally aired on the 10th of November 1967, directed by Ralph Sinensky. You'll remember him. This is his second of 6 Star Trek episodes, and we discussed him in more detail back when we covered This Side of Paradise. Gene Kuhn gets the writing credits for this one. I talked about him in more detail back on the podcast for Errand of Mercy. You need to be careful if you discuss him on our website. Discus treats it as a racial slur and will block your comment.
Okay.
Glenn Corbett played Zephram Cochrane. This was his only Star Trek episode, but he had a fairly prolific television career, appearing in shows like Bonanza, Petrocelli, before landing a recurring role in Dallas between 1983 and 1988, but he sadly died of lung cancer aged just 59 in 1993. So he was in his mid-30s when they filmed it. Eleanor Donahue played Commissioner Hedford.
I recognised her.
This was also her only Star Trek role. Her career has included appearances on shows like Murder, She Wrote, Days of Our Lives and Friends. She was also in Pretty Woman. And before this, she'd been nominated for a Primetime Emmy for her work on Father Knows Best in 1954.
I think she's most well known for that. I had coincidentally I'd watched the first season of the Andy Griffith Show.
I think she's in that as well.
Yeah. It's a small, only in for a few episodes. But yeah, so that's where she was a pharmacist, I believe.
She's now 83 years old.
And doing well.
Well, as far as we know. Elizabeth Rogers, you'll remember her. She voiced the companion. I think she was a replacement voice when the original one wasn't emotional enough. Elizabeth Rogers. We talked about her in the podcast for the Doomsday Machine, where she subbed in for Nichelle Nichols. You remember you wanted to know why?
Yes.
So people have told us, but you've probably not noticed.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Did you notice?
She was away
singing in New York. She had a clause in her contract, and they hired someone as almost like a threat, saying, we can just replace you,
Yeah.
Apparently. We discussed Rogers more in that podcast. So, this was the 8th of 12 episodes for which the set decorator was Joseph J. Stone. We've not mentioned him before. He also worked on shows like The Man from U.N.C.L.E. and Ironside. And he was the set decorator for one episode of Columbo.
Oh, there we go. I didn't think you would get one this week.
He wasn't invited back for some reason, but he was the set decorator. He was the set decorator for Last Salute to the Commodore.
Ah, that's why. Everyone associated with that episode was burned
in a fire.
Yeah.
That makes him this week's Columbo connection.
Brilliant.
Some trivia. This is the first time you see a whole episode without Kirk being on board the Enterprise at any stage.
Mm-hmm.
Not dissimilarly to Mirror Mirror, they had to do reshoots with Eleanor Donahue. You remember that? I think Barbara Luna in that episode was the same situation. Donahue got sick, had pneumonia, lost a lot of weight, so that's why she's got a scarf around her face and her neck quite often. Oh. The reshoots weren't done with the same director though.
They could have used that in her ill scenes. They filmed her on a real sick bed.
Yeah. The soundstage that was used for the exterior shots, they had vents used to blow fake clouds to make it a more realistic outdoorsy sort of feel. And I think there's a couple of other episodes where that happens. In terms of international titles, it's slim pickings this week. Even the Japanese title wasn't worth mentioning. The Italians went for Guarigione di Forza Cosmica, healing by cosmic force. But it's not strictly true, she wasn't really healed.
No.
And the French went for Guerre, Amour et Compagnon, which means war, love, and the companion.
Yeah, quite descriptive, I suppose.
Everywhere else, it was basically the same. I think in Japan it's something like Superb Metamorphosis.
Yeah, rubbish.
And everywhere else, just Metamorphosis. Next week, the 10th episode of Season 2, Journey to Babel. It features a tense family reunion.
Oh.
So we'll get to that then. In the meantime, social media, we're at Trek Podcast on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. You can get us on StarTrekPodcast.com and all the usual things apply, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Until then,
cheerio.
Bye bye.